How can Jimmy Kimmel live with him? Like, Jimmy Kimmel is a talented guy, and I don't think he's like an evil person or something, but he's made this deal where he just serves power and attacks anybody who challenges power. Like, how can, honestly, how can he look in the mirror and say, I'm doing something honorable? Like, how can he live with himself? How can his wife sleep with him?
Well, it'd be
I mean
it'd be one thing.
He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He's in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood.
Jimmy Kimmel believed he was untouchable until Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson turned him into a living punchline. One moment he's delivering jokes, and the next he's fielding verbal haymakers from two men who don't hold back. Rogan's exposing the awkwardness, Tucker's grinning like it's a holiday, and Kimmel? He's likely somewhere backstage reevaluating his choices. This isn't just a critique, it's a blazing inferno of harsh truths and unfiltered remarks. Brace yourself, it gets delightfully chaotic.
Each other equally is joking about each other indiscriminately. So yeah, I think comedians who, and this is why so much of comedy is not funny today. It's my chief criticism of like late night comedy, which I find unwatchable. I think it's totally unwatchable.
But also contemptible. I mean, they're collaborators.
They're just like the fact checkers, they're guardians.
There's an odd satisfaction in seeing a late-night host receive some cold, well-deserved criticism from two individuals who barely acknowledge each other. One is a former M&A commentator with a podcast empire steeped in elk meat and conspiracy discussions. The other is a cable news icon who left a massive void of Fox News. And right in the middle is Jimmy Kimmel, stumbling like a dad at Coachella, trying to stay relevant on TikTok. The saga began not with a bang, but a whimper, mediocre jokes stitched together by writers who lost their spark post-Trump. The once enjoyable late-night format has become a corporate lecture sprinkled with rehearsed applause.
There's not a chance in hell that this is funny or gonna work. And when you see those flat, corny, late-night monologue jokes with no audience, Colbert, there's Jimmy Kimmel, there's Fallon. What they're doing is just like reading off of a teleprompter, so a bunch of really good joke writers wrote them some stuff, and then they're playing to the audience, and the audience is like laughing, so they get this feedback, and they know how to do that. They stand there, and there's applause signs. And then there's producers. There's the warm-up guy that's literally telling people to clock. They're like, okay, explain to the people.
Yeah.
Okay, when Jimmy comes out, I want a big round of applause. Let's practice it.
When Rogan and Carlson finally set their sights on this emblem of mediocrity, they didn't need to coordinate an attack. Kimmel's smug comedy essentially crumbled under its own weight. Rogan and Carlson just brought the spark. Rogan, known for hosting 3-hour discussions ranging from science to Bigfoot believers, casually criticized the state of mainstream comedy. Without naming names, he painted a clear picture of fading host recycling political jokes written by interns. His subtle disdain was razor-sharp, like a passive-aggressive masterpiece. Meanwhile, Kimmel's formulaic approach, safe sarcasm paired with audience cues, stood in stark contrast to Rogan's wild, unscripted podcast format. While Rogan thrives on authenticity, Kimmel clings to rehearsed monologues, struggling to keep viewers afloat in a sinking ship of overdone political correctness.
His job wasn't to be a comedian and to do that, but his job is to be he's supposed to be funny. And comedians are supposed to hold people in positions of power accountable.
Yeah. To the people in charge.
Exactly.
He's their Praetorian guard.
Yeah.
And it's like the self-hatred he must feel, because he wasn't always, that's my point. I mean, Colbert has always been a hard partisan, talented guy, but obviously he's not a comedian. But Kimmel was a comedian. Like, how does he, I don't understand.
I don't know
how he can sleep.
He might buy into the narrative to the extent that he thinks it's morally wrong to joke about these certain topics.
But it's not just that. He's like pouring hot oil on the peasants from the parapet.
As Kimmel delivers scripted jokes in a suit, Rogan laughs off the criticism in a hoodie, cashing in a $200 million Spotify deal. The comparison writes itself. One seeks the truth while the other plays it safe, delivering jokes with all the excitement of elevator music. Enter Tucker Carlson, the king of cable turned digital maverick. If Rogan's criticism was subtle, Tucker's was a full-on firestorm delivered with a smirk. Now free from FCC constraints, Tucker embraces his raw, unfiltered voice. In a viral segment, he dissected Hollywood hypocrisy with sharp precision, never mentioning Kimmel by name but hitting the late-night format where it hurts. His argument: late-night hosts are now teleprompter puppets, pandering to sponsors and focus groups, delivering content so safe it practically begs to be forgotten.
Hot oil on the peasants from the parapet. Like, he's hurting anyone who challenges the king. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's upside down. The comedians should be poking holes in the popular narrative, not propping it up.
Jimmy Kimmel is. Like, truly. No, I mean it.
You
It's
said
like,
it,
no
not
amount
me.
of money is worth what he's doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's how they control speech and thought. It's how if your worldview is incoherent and impossible to defend rationally,
Yes.
then you have to insulate it from criticism. And what's the most effective kind of criticism there is? I think it's mockery, which exposes foolishness for what it is. So it makes
Takedown wasn't just about comedy, it was about staying relevant. Tucker gleefully highlighted how these self-proclaimed comedic rebels spend more time pushing products than crafting clever satire. Once a daring voice, Kimmel now feels like he's auditioning for a CDC public relations gig. Meanwhile, Tucker's unscripted and unapologetic style has attracted an ever-growing audience. The brilliance of their critique is that Rogan and Tucker didn't plan this. It was two independent perspectives shining a harsh light on the same stagnant corner of Hollywood. Kimmel, stuck in a loop of ego and tired tropes, became the unwitting punchline. Rogan mocked a superficiality. Tucker dissected it with precision. The tragedy for Kimmel: this downfall was entirely avoidable. He could have stayed authentic and sharp, but instead he chose corporate approval over creativity. Rogan's authenticity and Carlson's raw delivery underscored everything Kimmel has lost: originality, fearlessness, and genuine wit.
Honestly, I was mistaken about this. It's something I admit I was wrong about. Is when early on, when we first started getting fact checked and we first started having these issues with censorship with the Babylon Bee, it was my belief that these were humorless scolds who just didn't think our jokes were funny, and they thought they were offensive and they were being hypersensitive. And that's not the case.
No, it's not.
It's-
You're going through the stages of realization.
The
here.
stages of realization. I eventually learned and came to realize that it's not humor. Humor is a vehicle for truth delivery. They don't like the fact that the narrative is being challenged in a way that's effective, and so they have to show.
Jimmy Kimmel now resembles that unfunny office manager attempting to DJ at a holiday party. Rogan's fans are fiercely loyal, brewing their kombucha, while Tucker's are meme-laden night owls treating every episode like a gladiator match. Kimmel's audience? People who dozed off with the remote in hand or accidentally stumbled onto his show. It's not a contest, it's a rout. This wasn't a fair fight, it was a roast cooked on two separate grills. Rogan used slow, sarcastic jabs, and Tucker flambéed him with biting indignation. Meanwhile, Kimmel stood there, the epitome of please clap, as Rogan and Tucker dominated their realms. While Kimmel sticks to an outdated format, Rogan dissects wild topics with astrophysicists, and Tucker broadcasts like he's in a retro war room. It's not just roasting, it's stereophonic humiliation. Two vastly different voices from opposite ends of the spectrum found unity in exposing Kimmel's downfall. Coincidence? Hardly. It's a glaring red flag accompanied by canned laughter.
Do you think that's him or a writer? Can't you tell?
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
No, it's him for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
good. That's a good one.
He's a comic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, he used to host the Man Show. I mean, he's done some pretty outrageous shit back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, for hee-hees and haw-haws.
No, that's a good joke
but-
on top of a good joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke. Funny thing to say. He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble.
Uh-huh.
He's in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood. And I think also, he famously, there's some videos of him in blackface, and those came out, and he had apologized for them, and I think he took that hit and like really doubled down in the other direction. I mean, that's just speculation. But he, now is a guy that goes after people like Elon Musk,
Yeah.
which is, Elon is thought of as being, because he's willing to put people on with uncomfortable opinions, and he's releasing people that were banned from Twitter because of things that they had said. He's like, as long as you haven't done anything illegal.
Tucker doesn't seek approval. Kimmel, unfortunately, is stuck chasing laughter from an audience that's already left. His show feels like a time capsule from a political moment long past. Watching him now is like seeing someone sell expired milk with a wink. And here's the twist. Rogan and Tucker couldn't be more different. Rogan is the laid-back podcast king who discusses conspiracies with a mischievous grin. Tucker, the smirking provocateur turned post-Fox exile into a second wind stronger than a cat with 9 lives. Yet they effortlessly agree on one thing. Kimmel's comedy is a fossil, preserved under glass labeled extinct since 2015. His jokes are sanitized, corporate-approved quips that feel more like pharma ads than punchlines. Kimmel's smile screams, "Pretend this is funny," but his material is as engaging as a beige wallpaper pattern.
There are a lot of people who are like on your side because they're for free speech, or not actually for free speech at all, who are pushing, a very specific foreign policy agenda, for example, and using another issue to lower your defenses and let themselves into your brain. And I think that's really sinister. Really, really, really sinister. And it's becoming more obvious now. Like, if you're for free speech, then you're just for free speech because you support the principle. It doesn't, the content of the speech is not that.
In contrast, Rogan and Tucker tear apart the late-night mold like a piñata of stale punchlines. Rogan's podcast is a wild west of free speech, veering from alien conspiracies to the evils of kale, while Tucker's sharp viral hits dismantle Kimmel's scripted world. The shift in audience loyalty is brutal. Kimmel delivers tired monologues like he's reading a software update, while Rogan hosts 3-hour conversations that dig deep into captivating topics. Tucker's viral clips dominate social media, leaving Kimmel stuck with a dwindling audience. Kimmel's viewers? Either asleep or moving on to fresher content. He's the rotary phone in a world of iPhones, nostalgic to a few, irrelevant to most.
The job description of a comedian is not so different from the job description of a journalist, as traditionally constituted. Tell the truth about the powerful. Comedians are usually a lot smarter, more clever, and incisive than journalists, but that's what they're supposed to be doing. Almost none still do. Adam Carolla is one of the very few remaining comedians in the United States. He's out with a new book called Everything Reminds Me.
The real irony lies in how Kimmel didn't fade quietly. He self-sabotaged with every misstep. Mocking Americans for vaccination choices drove away half his audience faster than a canceled show. His attempt to mock Rogan was a second-hand jab, while Rogan responded with a detailed critique of Kimmel's lack of research. Rogan invites real experts. Kimmel hosts celebrities with talking dog movies. When Kimmel jabbed Tucker for leaving Fox News, Tucker responded by thriving, gaining a bigger platform than ever. Watching Kimmel's attempts to punch up feels like a toddler dunking on LeBron, predictably humiliating.
To obscurity, nobody's going to care anymore. It's like you're seeing it take place with late night television. Nobody gives a fuck about it anymore.
I know.
And it's slowly, you have a bad business model and you're not adapting.
Yeah, the creativity's gone for late night comedy, right? Like, that's not really a thing.
Rogan and Tucker cracked the code for a comeback. Kimmel never even tried. Joe built his empire from scratch, starting in a garage with weed jokes and unfiltered conversations that captivated millions. Tucker rose from the ashes of corporate exile, becoming a digital powerhouse who doesn't need a TV contract to be heard. Meanwhile, Kimmel is stuck in a loop, recycling 5-year-old Trump jokes and mistaking outdated punchlines for edginess. With every quip, he leans further into big pharma sponsorships, making his comedy feel more like a corporate memo than a genuine laugh. In this battlefield of modern media, Kimmel waves a white flag while Rogan and Tucker lob verbal grenades. The ultimate irony. Kimmel tried punching up at 2 giants from opposite ends of the spectrum, only to land the blow squarely on his own career. It's a roast no one asked for, but everyone is watching. The man who mocked Rogan's dangerous ideas and Tucker's fired for a reason status ended up schooled on how disruption truly works. Rogan and Tucker didn't need to team up. Their dismantling of Kimmel was an inevitable collision, like tectonic plates cracking open late night's fragile format. Kimmel is now the cultural eye roll, too safe, too scripted, and too out of touch for a media ecosystem that values authenticity, unpredictability, and chaos. Watching Kimmel try to adapt feels like watching a mime try to scream, awkward, embarrassing, and impossible to ignore. The damage is permanent. Rogan's audience didn't just laugh, they nodded in agreement. Tucker's fans turned their disdain into memes, movements, and inevitably, poorly spelled t-shirts. Kimmel clung to his cue cards, oblivious that the people he mocked were now laughing at him. What's left of Kimmel is a cautionary tale. A once brilliant comic reduced to a corporate mouthpiece for whatever cause aligns with the latest poll. He's not edgy, he's not funny, and thanks to Rogan and Tucker, he's no longer safe from ridicule. Here's the punchline. Neither Rogan nor Tucker set out to destroy Kimmel. They simply told the truth. And in Kimmel's world, where truth is whatever draws applause before a commercial break, that honesty is the cruelest joke of all.